The Fantastic Four cast has finally been revealed, and I must say, I am not impressed. A year ago, in my second video, I laid out who would make the perfect cast for the first family of Marvel Comics. Bill Bixby as Reed Richards, Marilyn Monroe as Susie, Mickey Rooney as Johnny Storm, and Hulk Hogan as The Thing. Of course, this cast could never have worked, as they are all from different eras, and sadly, only Hulk Hogan is still alive. But it went to serve as a template for who to cast in the modern era. I mean, just look at this image. I defy anyone to come up with a quartet more accurate or authentic. If you want to make a real Fantastic Four movie, you cast in this mold. If you don't, your movie may make a profit at the box office, but it will not truly reflect the characters as they appear in the comics, and therefore it won't be a true Fantastic Four film. And isn't that what we want? This brings us to today, with the reveal of Matt Shakman's cast. If I'm being honest, I'm very disappointed. None of these four are right. The only silver lining is that the cast is all Caucasian. However, after race comes ethnicity, which is where I run into a problem with Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. Reed is portrayed in the comics as a white West Coast American, while Mr. Pascal is a Chilean of Spanish descent. Is he Caucasian? Yes, but ethnically he is the wrong kind of European. I'm not a stickler when it comes to stuff like this. Acting is, after all, pretending you're someone you're not. But in cases where accent comes in, I find a bit of a problem, especially in a character that needs to speak as much as Reed will. Pedro Pascal may be a great actor. I've never seen him act. But his accent is quite thick, added to the fact that he is of a much darker complexion than Reed, and that he has the wrong kind of face. I'm not saying anything negative about Mr. Pascal. He speaks English better than I speak Spanish, and is probably an amazing actor. But he's clearly not Reed material. And that's okay. Not everyone is. I will say this, though. It is a nice change of pace to see a brown man in an intelligent good guy role. With regard to Susan, Vanessa Kirby is not a good fit. Unlike the other people on this list, I have seen her act, and I was left incredibly underwhelmed. She always looks like she's acting. She tries to keep the same expression all the time, which is a problem with most actors of today. They have a face, their moneymaker, and they try to shoehorn it into every scene and every role. It doesn't work. Susan is a woman with many deep emotions, and would need an actress who could portray them all. Frankly, Vanessa Kirby can't. Just because she's a white blonde, everyone thinks she's great for the role. A white blonde does not a Susan make. Aside from that, something must be said about her looks. Beauty, they say, is in the eye of the beholder, but it can be said without question that she does not have a staggering beauty like Susan does. There are many people that are considered pretty, but very few who are universally desirable. Marilyn is the best example of this, as she is still considered the standard for feminine beauty. Susan is also this, as Reed, Ben, Dr. Doom, Namor, Dragon Man, and many other villains can attest to. I just don't see Miss Kirby's peculiar look casting as wide of a net as Susan should. But this point is merely academic, because again, she can't act. Speaking on the Human Torch, Joseph Quinn, again, I've never seen him act, but based on the images I've seen, he's quite goofy looking, which isn't what I associate with the hot-rodding ladies' man that is Johnny Storm. Johnny is a handsome young blonde that all young guys want to be like. I don't get that vibe from this guy, with his round eyes and empty expression. Lastly, I know nothing about Ebon Moss-Bachrach, the man set to play Ben Grimm. He doesn't look at all like Ben, but they're probably only going to use his voice. But his voice sounds like a whiny little kid. There's no presence or gravitas to it whatsoever. Why pick him in particular if they are going to need to put so much distortion and effect on his voice just to make him sound right for the role? The Thing in the Valentine's Day image looks alright height-wise, but his proportions are far too ape-like. He isn't supposed to look like a gorilla or even a man. John Byrne has described his body type as being like a starfish, with tapering limbs that sprawl from his body. That's how he and Kirby both drew The Thing, so that's what I'm going to go with. Aside from the individual issues, here's a universal problem with the cast. They are too old and aren't getting any younger. Vanessa Kirby is 35, playing the 20-something Susan. Joseph Quinn is 30 and 5'11", playing the teenage to early 20s Johnny. And Pedro Pascal is 48, playing the 40-year-old Reed. And what's worse, they all look their age. How long are Marvel planning on using these actors? They certainly can't be in this for the long haul. Just imagine this cast in 5 years. Now imagine them in 10. This will not work. Again, compare this with my cast. It doesn't come even close. And what's worse, this film is set to be a period piece. Let me be clear, I have nothing wrong with the concept, but modern actors can't do period pieces. Seeing as how they aren't true thespians, but models who can remember lines, the dialogue is stilted and put on, to say nothing about the hair and clothes always being completely wrong. This movie is going to be embarrassing. I try not to be an overly negative person, as comic books are supposed to bring you joy, not frustration. But I must say I am terribly disappointed, though I'm not surprised given Marvel's track record of casting over the entirety of the MCU. I'm no Johnny-come-lately into the world of the Fantastic Four, with strong opinions based on nothing but other people's assessments I've heard on YouTube or read on the internet. I read the old comics regularly, and love the characters dearly. I started this channel with a 20-minute video essay in defense of Reed Richards, for crying out loud. Stan Lee and John Byrne are my idols, and their Fantastic Four stories are the best that have ever graced the beloved medium of comics. I believe I have some clout when it comes to who would play these characters best, seeing how knowledgeable I am on the subject. Unlike someone like the Cosmic Wonder, who will probably say this cast is perfect, I will be honest with you. It's not. Will it make for an enjoyable movie? I doubt it, but it very well could. We won't know until it's out. But it will not be a true Fantastic Four movie with a cast like this. And again, isn't that what we were all hoping for? I thank you very much for listening. Until the next video.